Moving from an emulator to a console was a truly weird experience because my muscle memory was bound to keyboard controls, and on console they'd all move to the opposite hand, and I kept having to stop and look down at the controller and figure out which button I was actually supposed to press, and it took a while to retrain my muscle memory.
I know, demo makes this look so easy, and it probably is. I'm just not used to a controller. Again, out of shape.
The other big problem was that I didn't know Japanese, and I had no idea what anyone was saying. Most of the NPCs repeat their dialogue, so it's not a big deal, but the Japanese version uses fewer characters, and I had to learn a new rhythm to the dialogue boxes. And I'm embarrassed to say how many times I blew a run in the first minute, because the mayor's introduction has 3 dialogue boxes in English, but only 2 in Japanese. By the summer of 2018, Demo already had all the top marriage times, so he started letting the viewers vote on which marriage run they wanted to see today. Out of the 5 girls, the winner was usually all photos, and Demo would have to explain, again, that he didn't want to stream for 10 hours straight. And we all knew it, but it was a fun community ritual, so we did it anyway. And every once in a while, he'd put together something special for us, like a horse race victory speedrun, or getting all the bachelors married off, really anything to get away from the marriage runs. He tossed around the idea of a glitchless marriage and individual photos, and we were trying to put together a Harvest Moon bingo, but it was surprisingly difficult to find enough goals of equal value, or ones we wouldn't immediately refuse if they ever did show up. Since Demo had bought me the console, I wanted to pay him back by giving him some competition again, like I did back with the LA marriage runs. But Demo had left no room for error, and if I was going to beat any of his times, I was going to have to start taking it seriously, identifying my personal weaknesses and do what I can to strengthen them. The language barrier was one of them, as was getting distracted and miscounting the number of times I slept. Some events only happen on a specific day, and if you sleep through it, if you miscount by even 1, there's no going back.
I was just too busy focusing on Cliff, and it's just muscle memory to walk back and then sleep. And I just wasn't thinking about Karen's photo.
If your chat gets rated and you're saying hello to everyone and, wait a second, was that sleep number 42 or 43? If you get it wrong, you're going to have to start over, and every time you pause to verify, you lose a little bit more time. And I have the kind of brain that bothers me every couple of minutes until I verify it. And if I could find a solution to that problem, it would be a huge weight off my shoulders. That summer, I was struggling to find a steady job, and I took whatever I could get for as long as they would have me. And that's how I found myself at a metal plant in Plainview, Connecticut. It was tedious, mindless work, but it gave me a lot of time to think. And this is where the idea for the routing program was born. We all had our own way of tracking what day it was, but I wanted a program that could display notes and reminders too. An improvement on our current tracking program, one that could track more variables with less user input. And every day, while I shaped these metal pieces over and over, I thought about a new feature I wanted to add, or a problem that had come up the night before. And every night I'd come home and add in the new code, maybe stumble across a new problem for tomorrow. And one day at a time, this program grew into something much bigger, much better than I'd ever imagined possible.
Well, the idea I started with is that at any point in any of these routes, if you drop in and you're given all the variables in that situation, there's going to be a best way to finish.
It did get complicated fast, and one of the challenges with adding new features was keeping the user interaction to a minimum.
What we're trying to do here is we want to fill in enough metals for 10 and 4 and 4 for all of them to equal the same number. So if you win the 10, or if you win the 4, or if you win the second 4, you should win the same number of metals.
The ultimate goal was to make it work for all photos, and I knew, even then, just how ridiculously impossible that was. But I wasn't about to give up on it without at least trying. But 2018 was turning into a black hole of failed all photos runs. One of us would go for it about once a month, but every single one of them fell short.
Oh, you just get the worst teammates. I can't believe I have to work with this. What is wrong with you? Oh, No, I'm not playing anymore. I'm not playing with you. This is wrong. This is sick. No, I'm leaving. I'm done.
There aren't many videos left of our failed attempts, but the one I remember most was when Demo pointed out that Kirby Arm's guide didn't specifically say that 10 guests were a requirement for the party photo, just the $24.94 global affection minimum. In 10 hours and 0 bathroom breaks later, after he ran an otherwise perfect all photos run, we found out that, yes, 10 party guests is a requirement for the party photo. In July, I got a job at the airport waving around little orange sticks. It was a steady job, and the bus line went straight to the airport, but it was a 30-minute ride on a good day. But it gave me plenty of time to work on the new program, and I even put together a tutorial for the new dog race strategy. By August, I got it working with Karen Marriage, and I tested it out on stream. Switching back and forth between 2 screens was a skill in itself that I'd have to practice, but it worked. I no longer had to scroll through notes or pause to check the day or money, and unless I did something out of the ordinary, all I had to do was click the sleep button every time I went to sleep. I still needed to work on trusting that past self did everything correctly, but that was more of a personal problem than a coding error.
It'll be the 19th. And I'm gonna check it real quick. Okay. Yeah, I'd rather check it and know for sure than to sleep right past the 30th.
Throughout August and into September, I started adding an all photos route to the program. The first 2 seasons took the longest because you have so many possible actions, but the goal wasn't to create an artificial intelligence to tell me what to do. It was to create a way to keep track of all the variables, if I was on track to meet their goal by their respective deadlines, and to remind me of special events in case I happened to be distracted at the wrong moment. I went through each season and made sure every requirement for every remaining photo was accounted for. When that was done, I added custom calculators for each season. How much money do we need in the mines in winter? How many milks have we shipped in year 2? And at some point, I stepped back and I realized my brain was tricking me. The program was done. There was no need for all these little changes. But every time I sat down to do an all photos run, somehow I ended up working on the program instead. And it took me a while to realize what was happening, that I thought I was being productive, when in reality, I was using the program as an excuse to put off actually doing an all photos run. I was scared of streaming, scared of being vulnerable, scared of failing all photos on a live stream and everyone would see it. And even after I recognized it, stared it right in the eyes, I couldn't break out of it. So I did the only thing I can think of to put all these little petty fears into perspective. I did something that actually scares me. I submitted the all photos run to a speedrunning marathon, the really, really longathon. And when the schedule came out, my name was right there at the top. Odd Tom has promised that he will show up and he will complete an all photos run. Was I confident I could do it? Not at all. Was the run marathon safe? Absolutely not. In fact, none of us had finished an all photos attempt in 8 months, and there was a very real chance that I was about to fail in front of thousands of people. I did a practice run the night before to shake off all the rust, and about halfway through, everything was going so well that I wished it was in front of a crowd.
I am on level 4. Did you see that? Are you watching this right now?
Yeah, this is insane.
Did you see me just dig this berry up?
Until about winter 2, when I made 2 huge mistakes, one after the other.
Wait a second.
Oh no, you didn't enter the dog.
No, I didn't enter the dog.
That's fine, I think that's like... You can just get the party photo, and then... just sleep and whistle him. It would only lose like...
I believe I did that.
10 minutes, I think. It's not that big of a deal.
Oh my goodness. Alright.
You can still get a really solid time.
Oh my goodness. You know what else I didn't do?
Oh, you didn't buy the lumber.
It was one last reminder of just what I'd gotten myself into, but there was no turning back now.